I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Maren, where we are spiritual, absolutely everything with our feet, right in the grocery store aisle, in the laundry room, in the kitchen, racing around from one place to another, and almost finished for the end of the school year, and one that is finished for the school year on summer holidays. Hi,
Oh,
Maren.
hello, Michelle. Yeah, I know. I was watering the garden today, and I was like,
hmm
oh my gosh, this is my first day of summer. This is
Yeah.
amazing. I get to water the flowers and take the dog on a walk and go for a walk, and then I think I'm actually going to run an errand, and I we for might have even been the weekend before Mother's Day, which would be really sad. But Mother's Day weekend, we planted the flowers in we have like little, well, flower pots, but we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
we have some that are attached to our house too. I don't
yeah.
know if those are plant, window planters. I
Planters.
don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we planted all the flowers and we had a few left over. And so I thought, oh, well, I'll get a pot and I'll put it in in the backyard, just have like a pot with the rest of the flowers.
hmm
Well, we ran out. So then, oh, that was before Mother's Day. Oh dear. So then on Mother's Day, on Mother's Day, we went to the store and got more plants for our garden. I got tomato plants and some more strawberry plants, and I got some soil for the garden and for the pot with the extra flowers. But then I ran out of soil, and I only used it for the garden. I didn't use it for the flowers. And I was like, it's okay, I'll go. It's okay, I'll go. Oh my goodness, I haven't gone yet. And so I'm like, today's the day. I'm going to get some
Yeah.
soil. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I
But that's what
usually have
happens
all
when
my stuff.
you get excited about buying soil.
Well, I get excited about buying soil and peat moss and wood chips and all kinds of things. I usually have my planting done now, but it was actually really cold, like for our holiday weekend. So we usually do our planting by the holiday weekend because it's still a little bit cold on Mother's Day. And this year it was pretty cold and rainy, so I didn't go. And I do have flowers, but my regular, like there's certain things that I plant, and I
Hmm.
haven't done that yet. So this weekend was the same thing. It was chilly and breezy, and on the days that have been
Yeah.
decent, I didn't do it. But had I have done it, I mean, I had to take flowers in anyway, so had I have done it, I would have had a little bit of frost on my flowers. So
Then that's
it's
probably not
coming.
good right
It's
after they
coming.
get
Probably next
planted.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Sounds good. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're in the same boat. Do you have your flowers already? They're just not planted?
Oh, I haven't
Or you have
got
to go get them? Okay.
anything that's actually planted in my, like I've got, let me just explain. I have some early, like they're called oh, now I'm forgetting. They're pansies. They're icicle pansies, and they're meant for the cooler
Icicle
weather.
pansies?
hmm So they
Never heard of
they can withstand the cold, like a little cooler weather, sort of like the
that.
first flowers that tend to come out around here. And then I have geraniums, and I have hanging baskets, and I've taken some of
Hmm.
my indoor plants and put them outside and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So I do have flowers outside, but it's just there's a couple planters that I have that I like to put a few things in. I haven't gone and done that yet. So that's what I'm waiting for.
Oh,
So
gotta.
how is the birthday slash Memorial Day weekend, everything? Tell us
Okay.
about what you experienced.
It was so much fun. I had so much
hmm
fun with my family. I'm so glad we did that. I wanted to do like something that would, be special and like mark my birthday.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, "Let's go out of town together without the kids. We haven't done that in forever." And I was like, "Hmm, my babies." And I said,
Yeah.
the whole time we'll be gone, I'll be thinking, "Oh, what if they were here?" Oh, they would have loved that activity. So they came
Yeah.
with us, and we had
Oh,
so
good.
much fun.
Yeah.
We we drove to the beach, and on our way to the beach, we got to go whitewater rafting. So we went
Nice.
whitewater rafting and had kind of like a little mountain town adventure. And then we
Yeah.
went to the beach and we had our little seaside adventure. And it was a very lively beach. There were dolphins and jellyfish and hermit crabs, and we found a
Where'd you
shark
go?
tooth, and we found a sand dollar. We went to Hilton Head, which is an
Where's that?
island in South Carolina.
Okay. Okay. I was like, where'd you
Yes,
go that
it's
there's dolphins? You must have gone at some distance.
yes. We went to yeah, South Carolina is just like right near like between Savannah and Charleston.
Right.
So between
Yeah.
Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. And it was just so much fun. It was so much fun to just be together and relax and hang out. And we'd go to dinners and then come back and swim some more. And, like
Yeah.
just so much
A
fun.
good time.
Um, but so the
I knew
kids,
there was something coming.
oh, there's always some. So okay. So the kids always, they get a little souvenir money from the grandparents every time we
Right.
go on a trip, and I got a little
Yeah.
birthday souvenir money too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we would like go in the shops, and there were so many shops, and there would be like maybe 2 or 3 people in the shop, just kind of browsing, not really buying anything, real slow. But there was this one shop. And it was like supermarket sweeps. There was always 4 people in line. There were just like crowds of people in the store. It was unbelievable. You know what this store sold?
What?
Crystals.
Of course.
Yes. It was
Wow.
unbelievable. So the first day I went into the shop, I was a little, it's like sometimes like, do you ever do that when you go shopping and like, it takes you a really long time to buy like one thing, but once you've bought that one thing, then you start buying like everything. Does that ever happen? It's like you gotta like break the
Have
seal
I
on your
ever
wallet.
done that? Have I ever done that? No, not me. No, never, never. Oh yes, Maren, I've done
So,
that.
okay. So what is so interesting, sorry, I'm trying to find the name of the crystal that I got. So I'm like looking through my photos because I took pictures of them. Um, okay, so what I think is so interesting, of course, I had a spiritual flash on this store. We were driving down. Okay, here it is. We were driving down and we were listening to a podcast that I want to talk to you about. That's what I really want the show to be about, but we'll just talk about this
Okay.
for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were talking about crystals. And I like, and there was this boy and he was talking about how he can feel the energy of the crystals. And that made me think of Tate because Tate loves crystals, my son. And so then I like kind of closed my eyes for a second and I saw him and I in this white room and there were crystals all around us. And I was having him hold a crystal and saying like, what do you feel? And him talking to me. And that was like what I like flashed on in a second. Interestingly enough, a day later, we're in a crystal shop and I'm like, Tate, what do you feel when you hold these crystals? And he's like, my belly feels so tingly. It is just like, he was like, it's unbelievable how many tingles I feel in this store. And I was like, okay, you'll hold it, each one and like feel the difference. So that was
Yeah.
really cool. So it was like
Yeah,
meant
that
to be
is.
that we were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my very first crystal that I got, I like looked around and I was like, I don't know what to get. My very first one, I've never heard of this crystal before. It's called a Synergy 7.
Oh.
Okay, it has amethyst, coxonite, geothite, quartz, leptocrite, rule, and smoky quartz. It's a stone of ascension. It helps contact your spirit guide, and it never needs to be cleansed or charged.
I've
And it was
got one like
$100 a pound, so I got a little guy.
I've got
Um,
one that looks like that, and I just thought it was an amethyst. I didn't know, but
no,
I have one that's dark like
Synergy
that in the
7.
bottom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, got so many different ones. Yes. So,
Cool.
okay, so that was my first one, and it just like
Yeah.
called to me. I was like,
Yeah.
I walking around the store, like I hope us, it's kind of overwhelming, And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like
Yeah.
one is going to call to me, and then this little guy called to me. Okay, and then the other thing that happened, sorry,
Yeah.
we were staying at this hotel,
Yeah.
and it was like it was an older hotel, and they had
Mhm.
like done some renovations, and so like the walls were freshly painted, the beds were new, the bathrooms like were just kind of, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
they were still a little rough, but
Yeah.
clean, you know.
Yeah.
And like the halls were kind of dark, and it kind of like my boys were like, what is this? You know, why are we like, oh, I don't want to stay here. And but it was the energy of the room. It was like there were so many spirits that like came to me, and
Mhm.
I was, they're just picking up on the energy of the room, you know.
Mhm.
And then so the first night, oh, so the first night we like got in and obviously slept, and then it was the first full day and that second night that we went to the crystal shop. And so I got this one, and uh, one son got like a chakra tree, and one got something else. I can't remember what it was. Oh, he got rose amethyst. It was really pretty. And the whole energy of the room changed. There were light orbs everywhere. It felt bright. It felt like we had lived there for a year. Like it just, the
Wow.
entire energy of the room changed. And I just couldn't, like, the boys were kind of like, oh, like scared to sleep the first night, you know. Second night, they were just, it was just like easy breezy. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these crystals changed the room so much. I mean, I've actually never seen light orbs in a hotel room before. And I was seeing
Yeah.
light orbs in the hotel
Yeah.
room. So I've seen, you know, I get like the spirits and stuff, but I don't get the
Yeah.
light orbs.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, oh my God, it's gotta be our crystals. So of course, what did we do? We went back, and I went a little overboard. So, I got labradorite, which I've always heard is so good,
That's a
and I've
nice
never
one.
had one. So I got a labradorite.
Yeah.
I got a Amazonite.
Oh, pretty. Yeah.
No, it's like so pretty, like the pale greeny blue.
And do you know what that one's for?
I think it's for like angels and stuff.
Yeah, because I get clarity as soon as you picked it up. I got
Okay, yeah, that
clarity.
would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I got Tate's. He got the rose amethyst. It was so pretty. I had to get the rose amethyst.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice one. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite.
I got this one, right, as I was checking out. I've never heard of this before. This is called Spirit Amethyst. I don't think I took a photo of it, unfortunately. Um,
Like, who knew
but
there were so many different forms of amethyst?
oh, I know, right? So this is Spirit Amethyst. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to read more about it, but it just like called to
Mm-hmm.
me. But then, and then, okay, I got another one. All right. So then Quinn got one, and then like right after he bought it, he saw this one, and he was like, "I want this one too." And I was like, "Well, you're gonna waste all your money." And so I said, "Well, how about I get it, and it'll be yours, but we'll keep it in my office."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this one, amethyst, and then this one called to me. Okay, this is the creme de la creme
Okay.
right here. Isn't it so pretty?
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Oh
What
my
is
gosh.
that? It's
This
amethyst
is
something.
amethyst, like polished amethyst. Yeah. But there's
That's
something so
beautiful.
like spiritual about it. I flash on this now. I'll close my eyes and I will see it. So there it is like got some powers that are like calling me. Isn't that unbelievable?
It looks like
It's,
architecture.
doesn't it?
Like it
It
really
looks like
does.
some
Like
kind
I'm
of like
really
work
taking
of
look at the woman. Look at the
I
woman
see the
in it.
woman, yes. I'm like, it looks like a woman or an angel or something, but I like
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
yes.
An eye. There's quite a bit coming off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I've
So
never seen anything like that. Like my knowledge of crystals is very limited. I have like I can feel them and read them, but their names exactly in that.
Yeah,
I'm not so good. I have a crystal Bible up here somewhere to kind of, follow along,
I do
but
too. I should
the
probably get it
energy that
on.
comes from them, and that's very interesting too, because the in the hotel room, I the crystals that you brought in, it was amplifying because it's connected to your energy, so it was amplifying your family, the kids, you, and amplifying it into the room and cleansed the room,
It
cleared the room.
100% did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm like,
amazing.
it made me a crystal believer. Like, I
Yeah.
really, truly, I hear it that they have energy, that they have, like, I hear it. Do I believe it? I mean, I believe it. I just don't know how much of an effect it has. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
okay, what is
yes, but
1 tablespoon of salt gonna do? But like a pound of it, or I don't know. And then when
yes.
that happened, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah,
more powerful than I
experiencing
thought.
them, and the thing is too, is that like Tate, um he it's very interesting because I was given knowledge recently through another medium that brought this forward, and I did a little exploration of my own from it about the crystal cities and going into the crystal city, and that's what popped in my head when you said that, when you said about the flash that you got with Tate. Now, something else I'll tell you too is when it comes to working with crystals, or what their value is, not everybody's going to resonate with crystals, just like anything else. If we think about different modalities and extensions of our energy, that's why there's all of these different formats, because we're not all going to. However, if you take crystals and go back to our ancient times, our times before recorded history, and you think about the crystalline structure, think about what we've talked about our bodies being carbon based and moving more to the crystalline based frequency, the way that we were way back when. The other thing is too, is you think about technology, our watches, our computers with crystal, quartz, right?
Yeah.
And then you go into what are crystals exactly? They're memory. They hold memory. Just like our field, like our the earth, the wood on a home, the floors, the walls, that hotel room that you were in, everything holds imprints. And so crystals are amplifiers. And they're going to, it depends on the person that's using them. It depends on the belief system, because one person could hold a pendulum and it would just dangle and do nothing. Another person holds that same pendulum and it's going to swing. I'm just going to say something else. Eric must be present. Just flew out of my mouth. It's going to swing like crazy. But, so yes, it's part user, it's part belief, but there is a lot of information. And here's the thing, is that a lot of these things, they don't have physical scientific evidence. Like a
Yeah.
lot of things that we, when it comes to emotion and resonance and with our telepathy and all of those things, it doesn't have the tangible science yet.
Well, let me tell you. So everybody that knows, I'm going to pull it up. Everybody that knows that I am a speech pathologist and I also have
Mm-hmm.
this mediumship ability,
Mm-hmm.
um, has said, "Have you heard the telepathy tapes?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I just don't have time." Okay, well, that's what I listened to the telepathy tapes on the way there and the way back. So here's telepathy tapes, everyone, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's
Mm-hmm.
only 8 episodes out so far, but I think she's trying to go to 12. So you gotta wait every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it let me make sure. And she is this. Yeah, she only has 8 still. Wait, see all. Oh, she has all the way. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She has 20 episodes, 21
There's more.
and a 22 bonus
Yeah.
episode. I'm only on 8. Okay. I thought it ended because that's where like my line stopped. Okay. So there's a little birthday present to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this woman, she um just kind of like stumbled upon this. She didn't believe in, her name is Kai, um what's her name? Kai Dickens. And she was really not like religious or anti-religious, or like she just was like a really neutral person. And she kind of like stumbled upon, oh, she listened to she was trying to come up with an idea for a podcast. She had done other documentaries before. And then she listened to this one scientist speak about telepathy. And she thought it was so interesting. And so she wanted to reach out to her and do a documentary with her. And then it just kind of like evolved into this whole underground knowing about these autistic kids that have telepathy and other psi abilities, is what she calls it, which are these like psychic spiritual abilities. And they have done this researcher that she connected with, I believe she's from Harvard or somewhere very legitimate. And she researches them. And the thing is they say like, so they'll do like a random word generator, right? And so they have to like, it's an app that generates a word. And then the mom or caregiver will read the word, and then the kid sitting across the room will type that word into their little speller device, whether it's a device or just like a hand thing, and somebody will read what letters they're spelling. But anyways, they say that it's like to get 30% of the words right that they test, it's like 1 in a billion odds. But these kids are getting like 90 to 95% right. And the only ones that they're getting wrong are ones where they misspell the word, which is truly like not an error, or when they start to get like agitated and they're done, and they just are over it because it's very stimulating. And they shut down, which is like, so I can't believe they did as much as they did, these kids. Like, unbelievable. So essentially they have like 100% success rate. It's very interesting to see some of them can only read like their mom's mind, where others can read like everyone's mind. So that was like really interesting. But she has all of this research. She wrote a book about it. And as soon as she published the book, the medical boards took away her license. And like discredited her. And they didn't even read her book or look at her studies. And then she fought it and she got her license back. But she's like, but the financial burden that it took on me and the reputation, how much it ruined her reputation, it's like the damage is done. There's nothing that, I mean, it was just horrible that they did that. Like, honestly, you can't, to not look at somebody's research and take away their license. Because they say that the science world is built on materialism. So if you can see it, then it exists. Where this research is proving that materialism is wrong, that there are so many things that exist that we don't see. And I think that like, because it's like, like I can speak to spirits, but yet it's still kind of like, are they really out there? Like, who am I really talking to? Like, what's really going on? And then to like hear this research, and it's so black and white, and it's so like, and there's these kids that are so extremely spiritual, and like, why would they lie? How would they come up with this? How would they even have access to this knowledge? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just really cool to hear the science perspective, that we basically, the way that science looks at consciousness is it's at the top of the pyramid. And so we have like biology and chemistry and physics and da 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 da. And then at the very top, we have consciousness. And this is proving, because they're like, what are they tapping into? This is proving that we have consciousness first. And then we
Yes.
have all the others that build on that.
Yes.
And when you think about that, based with like my experiences and these kids' experiences, you're just like, well, that's what it is. It just has to be like, and I can't
Yes.
believe we're being so ignorant and not changing the science to match the data
Yeah.
or the beliefs to match the data.
Yeah.
And there's this guy, and he proved experiments with animal telepathy. And he, I guess, gave a TED talk about animal telepathy, and and it was banned. It was like one of the very few TED talks that was banned.
Hmm.
Isn't that unbelievable? So now I think you can find it on YouTube now, but like maybe through the TED Talk platform it got banned or something.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. There's this parrot that started like the owner would the parrot like knows 100 and or not 100, excuse me, like 1,200 words or something like that, more than any other animal
Yeah.
on earth. That it can speak, it can conjugate verbs correctly,
Yeah.
and it's so telepathic that it started waking its owner up and talking to the owner about the owner's dreams.
Yeah.
And so then the owner like reached out to him and was like, you've got to like do studies on my bird. My bird's
Yeah.
telepathic. It even knows what dreams I'm dreaming. Um, and so it's just so
Yeah.
interesting. So these kids, if you like are short on time, episodes like 5, 6, 7, 8, that's
Mm-hmm.
where you want to be because that's where it gets spiritual. It's like episodes
Mm-hmm.
1 through 5. She's kind of breadcrumbing you through
Yeah.
like what telepathy is and
Yeah.
like helping you become a believer in telepathy.
Yeah.
Um, if you already are, I mean, the children are amazing, the parents are amazing, the researcher is amazing. So they're not boring. It's, totally watch episodes 1 through 5. But if you're short on time and you just want like the meat and potatoes, 5 through 8,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
Yeah.
so there's this boy. Okay, so here's the thing. So they're spellers. And I don't know why with spelling versus other communication devices that the spelling um is more successful than other, because there's so many different communication devices and technologies to use to communicate. There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems, and maybe in a later episode it'll explain it better. It seems to me that it's the type of prompting that you do, and prompting is like if they're, have mobility issues, you're holding their hand, and then that way they can, go like this or whatever. Or like sometimes like a kid will sit here forever, and you just need to tap their elbow a little bit, and then they're like, oh, I need to start moving. Um, and what we try to do as therapists is we do like full prompt, and then and I mean, we even like, even the finger prompt, and then we back off, back off, back off, back off, back off until they don't need any prompting anymore. And that's how you teach
Mm-hmm.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, the spelling communication device or communication technique got discredited by the ASHA board of it's uh, American Speech Language Hearing Association. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
what is the board that oversees speech pathology, and they like are saying that spelling is not proven because of the thing. But these kids, once they start spelling, there's one boy and he said, I didn't even realize I had hands and feet until somebody like touched them. And so it's almost like, and one mom's like, I'm pushing back so that they push forward and they feel their hands. So it's not
Yeah.
like they're, doing this. And then all the
Yeah.
spellers that are in the research, they're beyond that level. They're completely independent. But at
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, I mean, it's just a complete disservice. It makes me
Mm-hmm.
very upset. I want to, like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there will be much, much, much
Well, and
review
it's
taken
really
on this now.
like I've not listened to them. I've had a little overview of them, but I've not actually listened to them. But what I will tell you is I'll tell you a few things that I picked up on just in what I had heard and what you have said. And I'll tell you there was one thing that came through when I was listening. It was a YouTube video and somebody was talking about it and they were talking about the hill with the
Yes. Oh
kids.
my gosh. Yes. So,
So I got a little download about that. So if you want to go ahead and explain it, because
yes, because I
I got
want to
some
make it to the
spiritual.
hill. Okay, yes. Okay, so here's the thing. So now not only are they reading like the caregiver's mind, but they are all the nonverbal kids are telepathically communicating with each other. And there's even a teacher that talks about how her whole class will telepathically communicate. And and like one of them even has like a girlfriend, and the girlfriend will come over to the house and he'll be on, the second floor and she'll be on the first floor, and they'll be talking the whole time, and she'll leave, and but they were never in the same room together, and he'll be like, "Oh, that was so fun." And it's because they like telepathically communicated the whole time. And so now they're all talking about this place called the Hill. And the Hill is not a location, it's just a place where they all meet in consciousness in their minds. And this is what brings up that theory of consciousness. Like if they're all able to meet at this place and they all know, all these kids all over the world are calling this place the Hill, and they've never met. There's
Mm-hmm.
no talk about the Hill, but there is a place called the Hill. And they all meet and they all talk there. And what's so interesting, this is what, like, so there's this one girl, and she is so completely nonverbal, unbelievable. Non-speaking is what you call it now, but completely non-speaking. And she goes to the Hill. She knows like 10 different languages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they said she knows like Arabic. Well, who taught you Arabic? Well, the rabbi taught me Arabic. She knows hieroglyphics. Who taught you hieroglyphics? God taught me hieroglyphics. Like they don't even go to church. How is she getting that? She's non-verb or non-speaking. How is she getting this information?
Mm-hmm.
And it's completely unbelievable. So the Hill, so then they're like, man, because so this girl, she says she went out on the Hill and there was a boy, and he said that he was so lonely he wished that he was dead, which just, like makes me so sad. And she said it made her so sad. And so then the mom said, is there anything that you can like give me for information? Because we got to make him a speller, is what they're like. We got to give him some kind of communication device. We've got to make him a speller so it'll open their world up. And like all she knew was his name and that he lives across the street from the park, because that's all he knows. You know what I mean? Like, but they all meet on this hill, and there's some people that are invited that are not autistic to go out onto the hill. And that's what they're trying to say is like, man, we wish we could get someone out on the hill that could be a speaker to provide a voice for any of the ones that. And I'm like, pick me. Like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Um, but yes, so yeah, so they all meet on this hill, and it's like that's the common term for it. It is not a hill, it is just a collection of people. What do you know about it? Sorry.
Well, so um, what I'll speak to first is with Marcus, and I've talked about this before, that Marcus was who helped me validate a lot of my experiences because Marcus was tuning into um, frequency, that things that I didn't have names for, things that I didn't really understand, that he was validating because he was turning his head and looking in a direction. He was noticing things that I was feeling that no one else was picking up on. And so I'd feel an energy and he'd look. Or I'd start to experience, say, movement in my body, and he would come up and say, "Are you okay?" But I would do nothing to express. So it makes complete sense to me for many different reasons. One is we understand that communication is frequency. It's emotional frequency, and it's tuning into the unseen field that we are all connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I asked about the hill, because I was very curious about that, so I
Who
asked
did you
about it.
ask? Like you asked your guides or Marcus?
Calum. I asked Calum,
Okay.
my guides, yeah. Now, I did ask Marcus. Marcus did not give me an answer. He just stayed silent. So Marcus is verbal, but he's definitely weaves in and out of his own world. So Marcus speaks in echolalia a lot of the time. So he'll repeat. Generally, it tends to fit whatever the scenario is, but he'll break his language up into whatever he's trying to communicate, and he'll use the echolalia, repeating, phrases, words, whatever to fit the scenario. Now, Marcus and I have always communicated on a more of a telepathic level. So it's like understanding the energy in between what's going on, noticing how things were changing within him. And what's very interesting is when I was asking about the hill, I asked this. So yes, they said it's a non-local place. They called it actually an arc of consciousness, and that the reason why they describe it as the hill is because of the way that they said the geometry, the way that it is perceived. They said that it is more of a rarity for the children that are doing it consciously. They said that conscious communication, yes, there are children, and rare meaning it's just not like every nonverbal child is tapping into it in a way that is conscious. But they said that what's happening is that they're going into the gamma, between the gamma and I don't know if you can even say it right, in between the brainwave states that they're zoning into, and they are communicating with each other. They're communicating with the higher selves. They're communicating with the frequency of source, of guides, all kinds of things. And what makes it so amazing is they're bypassing the ego, which is why they're directly communicating it back through the language that they are. Now, what was also said to me was that the hill is also, they called it, it's where, okay, so they showed it to me like it's in these layers of consciousness. So it's not that it's all separate, but they said many people that are mediums, that that speak frequency and translate frequency, will go to this place. And they also said that it's a place where the disconnection from the physical body, where it's more comfortable being in this space because the nervous system is often overloaded. And so for nonverbal, for people with autism and nonverbal, they're experiencing that overload possibly a lot. So they're in these states frequently. Whereas those of us that are verbal, we may go into these states within dream space, in other spaces, because we're still communicating in other ways as well. So it's really interesting the way that they layered it up. And I'm with you with the frustration of, looking at science and how science measures things. But the other thing is too, there's this part of it where science feels they're protecting something because they don't want to. It's all part of that credibility. And then if we let this go, then what else is going to go, because it starts to, because I will tell you, and I know you know this too, this study is amazing. It's amazing what's coming out of this. And what was shown to me was technology that is already in prototype that's going to start to expand this communication. And this is what we've talked about before, the spiritual, the science, that we really are on the brink of all of
Oh,
this because
I
so
totally
many
believe it.
people, right?
It's like the world's consciousness just needed to be opened up to it, because like this
Yes.
telepathy tape, right? Because now, and they say that too, they're like, it's power in numbers, like the more people that are insisting that this is happening and that this is legitimate, then the more it will be accepted. And now that there are these telepathy tapes out, there's more and more supporters that are going to say, hey, scientists, what are you guys doing? Like, you're
Yeah.
wrong. You
Yeah.
need to support this research. And it's just like that consciousness is shifting. They talk about like there's some teachers, and they're like, yeah, back in 91, and this was, oh, that's what it was. It was, I think back in like 91, there was a teacher, and she learned how to telepathically communicate with her students. And so she would write like she would have her students at the end of the day tell her what they wanted to say to their parents, whatever it is. And one of the parents said, this is weird, and told the administration, and the administration fired her and sent her off to a mental institution to get checked out, and it's like, so, and that was just in the 90s. And so we have just come so far in our consciousness and our willingness to accept this, that I really
Yeah.
truly do feel that this is like the beginning of a huge shift. And these little children are just so incredibly gifted. It just
Mhm.
kind of reminds me of like one of those like futuristic shows, where like the kids are like so advanced, and like
It's true.
that's
It's so
and that's
true.
this. And I remember like there's been so many questions to like Eric and to other like mediums about children with autism, and like and other like neurodivergent things. And they're like, are they different, or are they the future? Like, is this a burden, or is this a, a talent, or like a gift? And
Mm.
all the mediums would be like, it's a gift, it's a gift. And like, here it is, like, we're proving it. Like, these kids have so many spiritual gifts. That's what they talk about, is like they're just disconnected from like the ego. And that comes with a lot of sensory overload. And so she
Yes.
says, like, she tries to explain it like, we have this consciousness, and then we have what's called like a disassociation, which is like kind of like, I would say, our ego. She didn't use that word, but she's like, we have something that's like this wall that we put up so that we define ourselves as ourselves. So like, I'm Maren and you're Michelle. And she's like, and for whatever reason, these children with autism, they just have a thinner wall, or not a wall at all. And unfortunately, then they're very sensitive, and they're getting all this information, which is making them have difficulty either speaking or feeling their body, but they have just great access to the consciousness. And so it just all fits. Like, it's just
Does.
such a cool
It does.
way to look at in a different perspective, like what we do, and like why
Yeah.
it all makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
why it's all
Definitely.
happening in such a
Definitely.
scientific, I don't know, like, it's just so cool. So um there's this one boy, and like, I'm like, how do you even do this? So there's this one boy, and he was actually verbal, but he had limited speech. I think it was very hard for him. He spoke until he was 20, and then at the age 20, he started to go inward and only communicate telepathically, and
Hmm.
not use his voice anymore. And they say what that is there's just this disconnect between, and it makes sense, like, if you have this thin wall, then there's this disconnect between you and your body, and how your body works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he only communicates telepathically. And they interview his teacher, who he has a very good relationship with. And his teacher, and he would always, his teacher can communicate telepathically with him, and he would always be telling her very like um, esoteric type information and spiritual information that was like way beyond her. So she started reading books to try to like understand more of what and learn more about like what he was telling her. And so one day they were like taking a train ride and she was telling him about this book that she bought. And he telepathically communicated to her, do you have it with you? Take your book out and put it in your hands. So she puts it in her hands. And then he just lays his hand on top of the book for like a minute or two. And then somehow was able to get all of the information from the book. And he summarized what she had read so far and then through the end to her. Isn't that unbelievable? Like, how can you do that? These kids are so gifted and it's just all in there.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And we didn't know it until we started giving them so this is what's crazy, a bridge. Remember how I always tell you I want to be a bridge? Okay, so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm just like so called because this is my world. Like I'm a speech pathologist. This is what I do. And I'm not working with this population right now. But I am working with children with autism, but they're very high functioning and very verbal and doing more social skills type stuff. And but I'm like, this is what I want to do. I need to figure out how to, because like I don't know, I can telepathically communicate to spirits. Why can't I do it to people? You know, like
Yes.
I gotta figure this out.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
Oh, I gotta figure it out.
Of course you
though.
can. They were showing me a technology as well that and just to before I say this, and this is something that we've talked about because we are the technology. We are.
Oh, so okay. So when you talk about Michelle, oh my God, you're just gonna like die when you like listen to this. Okay. So she uses that. She says that we are the receiver, right? And
Yes.
that there's all this information floating out there that we can't see, just like radio waves and
That's the
internet
field.
waves
Yeah.
and all the, gamma waves and all those waves that we can't see, but that are out there. And she plays this story from Lucille Ball, who is a famous actress, comedian, and from like the 1950s, she's like on a talk show. And she said she got a filling and she was driving along the road and all of a sudden she heard a radio station and she checked her radio wasn't on, and she's looking around and she can't figure out where she's hearing this radio station come from, and it gets louder and louder and louder, so much it's like so loud she can't even like hear. She's like it feels like it's coming from inside my head. And then she drives away and it fades and she's like, what? So then she reverses back up. She's like on this old road and it got bright again. And somehow, and so then she went to the dentist and she told the dentist what happened. And the dentist was like, oh yeah, you got a filling. And so like somehow we are the technology. And there's all this information out there that we can't see, but yet somehow if you tune just right, you can pick it up. So how do we do that?
Well, this is a good stopping point because Maren and I, how could we ever have this happen? But we got carried away with talking, and it's a pretty long one. So we're going to cut it off right here. And then you can join us next week for part 2 of this amazing conversation. See you guys.
Thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you back next week. Bye.